Hey everyone, Psychoriasin here, and welcome to another episode of Pointy Chins, where I take you through my art journey. Alright, so to begin with, some more town folk, local people, kind of. More like how they feel, just people around town, lots of old people. It's kind of a hick town, so yeah, it's not... I don't know, it's not great, but kind of like this one. I like these kinds of funny faces, but not trying to be funny, you know, like it's not trying to be a comedy. Like I dislike this one more because it just feels a bit forced. But playing around with like pushed faces, and then I guess I'm trying to do more pretty stuff, but the pretty stuff wasn't really working this time. Tilting heads, I'm having quite a bit of trouble with this. But moving on. Alright, so guess I'm still working on proportions here. Playing around with features like making the nose a bit bigger, making the nose a bit smaller. Here it's pretty tiny again. So it's a lot of, experimenting. I don't know what this guy is. This one is... I suppose it's okay in some ways. Alright. And then... I guess just random characters, but again, playing with the proportions of things. Just starting with kind of a gesture. There's this bigger gesture. And then some foreshortening. So when it comes to swords, when you want to foreshorten swords, it's kind of useful to curve the lines a bit. If you do it too much, it's going to look like a very curved sword. But if you do it a bit, it can help to convey, especially if it's got a slight curve to it anyway, can really help to convey that the sword is coming towards you. You know, having these slightly curved lines as opposed to just a straight line can seem kind of boring. So that's just a tip. And then, not really sure. Kind of like the face on this one, but not really the body. The boobs definitely aren't sitting on the form. So that's not good. This one is a bit better. What I feel like it would have helped me is if I blocked out a plane here. So here's some just characters again, playing around with proportions, giving her, huge hands, huge feet, big head, and then kind of a tiny body, which is, it's kind of something I like to do. It's a proportion I'm quite fond of. So there's that. And this guy kind of doing that too. I'm trying to think about the fingers and how perhaps I could stylize them. So in this case, I'm making the fingertips much larger than the rest of the finger, which isn't accurate to reality because you tend to get more of like a triangle. It just tapers towards the tip. But I think it does look okay. I like this guy's face. Not sure I like the body's I feel like I'm still making the chest area a bit on the large side. Maybe this one's okay, but it doesn't feel very cohesive yet. So that's something I've got to work on. So this one's kind of working a bit better in terms of shapes. I think it's really important to try to mimic certain elements in your shape. So if you already have like a thing going on in the head. So in this case, I kind of view it like a sort of an inverted teardrop. You can kind of see that shape. And then if you see the body, it's also got that inverted teardrop shape happening, and that can unify these two elements. What gets quite bad is if you have very pushed shapes in one area and not in the rest. So that's one of the reasons why this one, for instance, looks really bad. There isn't much connection between this head and this body. And so it comes across as very awkward and I think ugly. Also, there's like a visible age difference between the two. So that's not working. In this case, I like this dinosaur-ish thing. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Just some creature, but I kind of like the shapes going on. But this one, it's okay. It's kind of getting better, but it still feels a bit like you've got the head and the body aren't quite working together. But it's not so bad, I think. So I guess this is moving in the right direction. I think this guy's also working okay. I like this slope that goes from the head to the shoulders. I think it could be simplified even more, but I think that's an interesting slope. With her, I don't think she's working really. The head is sort of okay, but there's kind of a lack of cranium. So all these things, I guess right now it feels like this is a very awkward period where things are close but not quite right. And here, I guess I decided to push things a bit more in terms of a stretched character again. Like, things are more narrow and thin. I don't know what this thing is. And this is a problem I have with a lot of characters, trying to make them very, I don't know, muscular, but when they're too young, it just looks a bit forced. And I feel like I've been trying to come up with a balance to get things, on one hand, I guess it's using the anatomy that I've learned and trying to create certain shapes, but on the other hand, it's respecting the individuality of the character. Like, would this character really be super muscular? Maybe not. But one thing that I do feel is working for this is this ratio between the head size and the upper body, and how sort of it gets thinner here. I think that's actually a good way of connecting these two. So the idea is, if you look at this character as if compare it to a real person, these eyes are humongous. The nose is kind of close to accurate, but the placement and everything is very exaggerated. So there's a lot of stylization going here. You can see how, this angle and then this angle, it's not really what you would see in reality. So when you have the body, you also have to stylize it by the same amount so that everything works together, or else it will look weird. So that's a thing I have to worry about. More dinosaur-y things, don't know why. All right. So these lines are very not confident, but I guess these are the starting drawings. The line work tends to be really bad when it's the first drawing I do, and then it's a matter of warming up. And I think that's something to keep in mind. Whenever you start drawing, kind of expect that for a while your lines are going to be pretty not great until you warm up a bit, and then they'll get a bit easier. So this one, I think the shoulder's out a bit too much, but it's okay. It's got something. I feel this kind of has something as well, except for the hair. It's very flat, very added on, just thinking about shapes but not about form enough. Whereas this one, for instance, there is more of a sense of form and structure. And I think if you are kind of struggling with form, one of the things that can be really helpful is to think about the other planes that like, for instance, if you have a cube, you have the front plane, but then you have the top plane and the side plane that may be showing. So in this case, I was thinking about the front plane, fine, but I wasn't really thinking enough about the top plane or the side plane. And and same with this one. Like, that's why the ear kind of is just stuck on. There's not a strong enough consideration for where is the corner between the front of this face and the side of this face. Because if I had that in mind, then I probably would have extended the head further, like more in the back, to have that side plane visible. And yeah, that would have been useful. So here I'm trying to draw heads that are looking up, and this is something, and also ones that we're looking up at them. It's something I've wanted to do properly for a long time, but I always tend to struggle with it. When I make everything within a box and try and draw it that way, I tend to get very stiff. So, I mean, the drawings get very stiff. So, that's something where I'm just trying to think, like, can I wing it and still have a decent result? But in these cases, it really doesn't look very good. I think one of the things that would help is sort of this has it more, where you have this plane connecting the jaw to the neck. I think that's really important, that connection. And in this case, for instance, it's too thin. Like, you don't really get a sense of how this connects, and I think that's one of the weaknesses. In this case, actually, it feels like this is too wide, and the neck is very skinny and very long, which is just looking really, really strange. So definitely stuff I still have to work on. Here I was doing, so there's this, there's a game called Xenogears, and Flavia was playing it around this time, and there's a character called Crescens, it's a gear called that, and Flavia wanted me to redraw my version or something of it, so these were just attempts, which are obviously not good, but just playing around with different shapes, and I think this is not great. This one, I mean, it's not symmetrical, but it's kind of more of an interesting shape, I think. So I don't know, just not my forte by any means. So yeah, just more water brush. I tend to have periods where I don't use a water brush, and then periods where I do. And the problem is, the water brushes I'm using keep getting clogged. So when the first time I use them, they're good, and then they're not good anymore pretty quickly. So that's something that I'm not sure if anyone has tips on how to maintain water brushes for me. As I said, like, I've had times where I could reuse them for a really long time, but so far I'm not sure if there's something in the water where I am, but it seems to be first time's fine. I just put like ink from ink bottles into the water brush and put water in it, and then seems to flow okay for a bit, and then it screws up really badly, and yeah. So probably that's what happened here. Just like too much, couldn't get it to work, so then just did it without. And like these ones, the little shapes, I think they're good. I don't like this shape too much. It's a bit like this one's better because how it's got a bit of a widening towards the bottom. I think when shapes are more triangle based, they tend to be more interesting. Maybe not always, but I find that's usually the case. So in this one, I think this is actually kind of working. You do have this triangular head, then this triangular body, and then sort of a flip triangle here, and then this long triangle that's incorporating the entire leg shape, And then the arms are also kind of 2 triangles. And the hands are also kind of like inverted, again, triangles here. So, or maybe the other ones are inverted. I don't know. But yeah, lots of triangles, and I think this is on the right track. Whereas this one is not at all. It feels like, no, this is... Like this one, simple shapes, everything is kind of working. The head is super simplified and the body is also simplified, which is good. This one, there's too much trying to put details. The anatomy is kind of wacky. The shapes aren't the same. Like this part's very rounded, then this part's very squeezed, and this part is more chunky and simple and stylized. So a lot of mixed things. In this one, it's okay, again, because he is a very rectangular figure. Everything's like this very stretched rectangle. And then his shoulders are really wide, but also stretched. And so you build this rectangular feeling, and that's good. This one, I like the face of this character. No body, but nice face. And then this one I think is funny. This one's not really working. This one's okay. Probably this shape for the hair, for the bun, is not quite working, just a simple rectangle. And it's just because if you look at this shape, it's so organic and rounded, and then this is so not, that it feels a bit too... Like, it just flattens it and it doesn't quite work. If this was a bit rounded and a bit more three-dimensional of a shape, I think it would work much better. Alright. So, trying some moving, sort of like gestural animated, not really animated, but just moving figures. Again, focusing on proportions. Very, very important. This one is kind of working. I like how the body is getting a lot straighter. Like, this is a triangular shape up top. I don't think there's enough side plane here. So I was mentioning, if you want to see things in more three-dimensional, or if you want to see things more three-dimensionally, it's important to think of the different planes. So you see a lot of the front plane, but not enough of the side plane. And that's a big weakness with this one. But the gesture is okay, and I do like how it gets, again, like kind of boxy. So that's kind of in opposition to when I draw women, where I really try to give shape to the hips. For guys, it's almost better to not, or at least dependent on the body type, but I think, like, yeah, it's better in this case to have very thin hips, not go too wide or it looks too feminine. So here I'm working on more bulky characters. I like this character quite a lot. And then more skinny characters. Just, again, you know, like fatter characters, skinnier characters, more athletic characters, and just trying to resolve all this. So what's been really important to me has been making sure everything fits in the same style, like the same world. And this one definitely, like, this one's kind of a disaster, but this one's working, I feel. Not so much the body. I think it's kind of okay, like in this part, not the boobs so much, but like this, how it goes like super in and then it goes out. That kind of mimics this, how the eyebrow goes out and then the cheek goes out and then it goes down. So that's something. In this case, I'm, again, trying to combine this type of more, I guess, anime face or anime-esque face with a body, and then this is too realistic again. So, I mean, it's weird to think that this is too realistic, but I think it is. This one is just a disaster. What the heck? Like, again, no side plane. I think this is something that I will resolve, I hope, shortly. I know I resolved, like, if I was doing it now, it wouldn't be like that, but I hope I will resolve that soon. I kind of like this one. I like how the shapes are kind of working. I like the fingers, how kind of fat and chunky they are. I like this little guy too. He looks kind of concerned, sad. I don't know. This one. This is a big disaster. Just trying to make a muscly guy on a not muscly head. It's sort of disrespectful, I feel, to the character to artificially jam on a body that doesn't quite work. And this one is a bit closer to working because, I mean, the shoulders, I feel, could be a bit more sloped because you see this head shape, how it gets like really wide and then it sort of slopes right into the neck. I feel like that could have been replicated into the shoulders, just everything sort of sloping down and getting a bit, getting more of a taper to it, I think would have been good. This body is just too realistic for this head. Maybe if I look at this head shape, I would say this is very angular, has kind of a boxiness and a sharpness to it, and that would have been good to replicate in the body. So here I'm drawing like more of a pushed horizontal face, kind of thinking of Joe Mad and how he draws. Everything tends to be kind of stretched a little bit, especially for the heroic characters. When you make them kind of horizontal, they tend to look extra heroic. And yeah, this one's okay. Kind of like this girl, and this one's kind of interesting, I guess. The expression seems a bit silly, so that's something. Here was just some stuff for freelancing I was working on. Just wanted to get some sketches. See, this is kind of good in terms of what I'm thinking of. Okay, so you've got this shape, and you've got these sloping shoulders that kind of fit into the head. So if you built a silhouette of this, you would just see the shape very contained. So it's kind of like this shape, like maybe a bowling pin with ears sticking out, and I think that's okay. At least it's something. You're trying to think of a skeleton. Yeah, not much else to say on that front. So here again, a simplified view. It's getting a bit better, this simplification, but it's still not great. I think I'm still adding too many details. I think rather than, like, the head is super simplified, but the body is not. So what I would advise myself at this point is just try to figure out how to draw bodies a bit more realistically, and consider that, like, if I'm saying to myself, like, you should, what you did is you learned the head and then you simplified it quite a lot because you understood the head a lot, and you don't quite understand the body as well, and you're not treating it like the head. So understand the body better and then start simplifying it, and think about whatever you're doing to the head in terms of simplifying it from a realistic head. Try to replicate that with the body. So yeah. I don't know. Here, I'm still trying to simplify, but this is kind of not working at all. I don't really know what goes on in my head when I do stuff. Like this arm, this chest muscle isn't working with this arm. If this arm is going down, this is going to get pulled a lot. Like, this part is supposed to connect to this part. And it's something that I know, and so I don't know why I didn't think of that at the time. And maybe you've had this experience too, where you actually forget stuff you know that in hindsight, when you look at it, it's like, yeah, of course that's wrong. Of course it wouldn't be like that. But in the moment when you're drawing, sometimes you just forget the most basic things. And it seems that happens with me a lot. So here I'm just trying to draw the torso mainly. Also the hip connection. So the torso with the body. And so kind of decapitated and amputated the figures. That's not trying to make any kind of artistic statement. It's just so I can draw more torsos on the page. And I feel like it's really important to get where things connect. So having the torso and the arms and the legs, like at least the starting of them, I think is really important. So you get a sense of how these things work. This one's kind of working. Kinda. Looks a bit masculine for my taste, but it's kind of okay. So yeah, there's some progress here. Here I was just drawing at the gallery. I kind of volunteer at an art gallery, so sometimes I go there and draw while minding the store or whatever it is. And I thought I would draw myself drawing this. So like this guy is here, this thing is here. I don't know. All right, so I really don't. I don't like this guy's face. I don't know why. Maybe it's the nose. Something about it is bothering me. But this one seems okay. And I like this one. I mean, I don't like how this is connecting to the head, because if I think about this jaw and I think about this eye, okay, so as an eye, that's one thing, right? Like just as a representation, the eye's a bit off. But if you think about the eyeball, well, it's much bigger than that. Okay, so you have a much bigger eyeball. Okay, now think about the eye socket, which is even bigger than the eyeball. All right. Well, that eye socket is intruding way too much into the rest of the face. Again, not thinking about the side plane enough. So that's no good. Here, I actually think this is okay. Like starting with simple shapes, kind of fitting it into the body, just simplifying forms. Here I was trying to sort of draw. I did this genie picture a long time ago. I guess I was just trying to redraw some of the things, but not just from imagination, I guess. The face looks very wonky. Everything is very bad. It's not good. I think these are they're the jury that are judging this and not quite pleased about it. I don't really like this headdress. I like the idea of these headdresses. You actually see them a lot in Mongolia, in like traditional Mongolian costumes. They tend to have very elaborate headdresses, and I think they're really cool. So, yeah, there's that. And then, don't really like this one at all. And these ones are just continuous line drawings, so you basically put your pen on the page and then just draw. And don't lift your pen off the page, or try not to. Exclamation mark head. And this feels not great. Alright, so I started, for this one anyway, I started looking at maybe this one too? Started looking at Yo Yoshinari, which is this animator who's really good. He worked on a bunch of animations. I think he worked on Little Witch Academia. I think he might have worked on Kill la Kill, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And then, yeah, this study from life. Trying to look at how he handled drapery and fabric and folds and stuff. It's something I really struggle with still. This character's okay. Kind of like the proportions of him. Don't mind the gesture. I think the foreshortening is not too extreme. Usually I tend to, or I have a tendency to make the arms too long when I draw them foreshortened. So this one seems okay. This one, not sure. Doesn't quite feel there. Like, this one to me feels a lot better than this one. But I suppose the shapes just aren't flowing well enough. Yeah. Okay. So here I guess I'm trying to draw a bit more realistically again, or maybe I'm not trying to, it just comes out that way. Kind of have this push on one hand towards realism, on the other hand towards more cartoony stuff. This is, I don't know. I just tried to imagine I was doing a life drawing and then draw it from imagination, but this part's really wrong. Like, the butt would be starting back here, not up here. So that's no good. And this one foreshortened, but the arm feels way too big. Like, that's just a bit too much. Kind of like this headband thing though. It's okay. The rest, not too happy about at all. Okay, so on this page, I guess I like this. I like interactions where you have two characters where they feel like there's a story going on. So I like this one. Don't like this, don't like this. I mean, this looks like it was just a really painful day for drawing. This proportion is okay. I mean, the legs are really small, but I think it's kind of working. But the rest, I don't really have too much to say about it. Again, trying like tilted heads, which aren't really working. That's what the jury's saying. No, not quite happy with that. And then, I don't know, this guy doesn't fit the body at all, but yeah, gotta figure it out eventually. Here I wanted this feeling of kind of things flowing and stuff, but I'm not sure if it came across. And here I'm thinking like of drawing a bigger character, and sort of like Arsha from K, Space Waitress K, but I'm not sure. This neck, way too long, body doesn't work. Not thinking enough of the head and the body as one piece, I think. I think that's a very big problem. Same with this one. Just this, again, I'm still trying to draw very muscular anatomy. I'm not sure why. Maybe I just didn't really want to draw. I wanted it to work, perhaps. I didn't want to draw like a skinny head with a skinny body for whatever reason. I don't know why. That seems a bit stupid not to want to do that, but anyway, so I think this one's kind of weird enough for me to like it. I don't like the rest of it, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's like a shoulder, it's just above the shoulders, and it's this big, I mean, it'd be terrible to walk around like that if you tried to get through doors, or you were sitting on a plane and you had this kind of thing. It would just be very disruptive, so not practical at all. And finally, drawing some crickets again. This one's not really working, but this is kind of working, right? Like, it's a bit skinnier. It's got a bit of a skinnier body. These more childlike ones, bigger head, kind of working. So I seem to have less problem with getting bigger shapes when it's very small. This one too, kind of like this shape. How the body flow, like the head flows into the body, which flows into the legs. A lot of flow here. Not so much here. Not so much here. This one's okay. I like how the eyes are relatively smaller in size. Feels kind of nice. The body's not really working, but hey, we're moving forward. So I hope you stick around as I continue to just try to to not keep making the same mistakes. And I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.